Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Go Comedy. It's now time for Let's Just Say. Please welcome your host, Katie Hoffman!
Thank you. Welcome to Go Comedy, and welcome to Let's Just Say, our evening of storytelling here. We do this every month, and every month we give our storytellers a prompt. Sometimes it's like luck, and sometimes it's like foolish love or something like that. This month, it is trial and error. So you're going to hear stories from these wonderful storytellers about how they interpret trial and error. Some of them might be funny, some of them might be sad, but you're going to get a wide mix. And so to get us started, I'm going to bring up a very talented improviser, an actor, a writer, and a frequent storyteller here, and a financial advisor to the stars, as he wanted to say. Please welcome Dan Cantor.
So, good evening and welcome to Go Comedy. Several years ago, is this on? Yeah, thanks. That's good. Several years ago, I found myself single again. I was freshly divorced from a 14-year marriage, and boy, I had not been out on a date with someone who wasn't my spouse in a long time. So I had to learn how to do that again. Now, I'm going to date myself a little bit because I got divorced in about 19 years ago. So you guys were in nursery school, but Facebook hadn't been invented yet. People were still monkeying around with MySpace. They were the early days of the computer. And so I'm not a drinker, so the idea of going out to bars to meet and or pick up a spouse, well, that was just not going to work real well. I didn't like the idea of a liquid opening to a relationship. So I thought that I would trust modern technology as a way to meet people. I would try these things called online dating. At that point, again, there was no Tinder, there was no Grindr. Not that that's nothing wrong with that, it's not where I was going. But Match.com was out there. And so I had to come up with a profile of who I was and summarize my good traits and try to make myself look good and all that. And I was such a neophyte. When I was going onto the website, I thought it would be the appropriate thing for a woman to be safe not to post her photograph because there are so many strange people out there. So I thought that I could trust the profiles of women that didn't have a photograph. That was my first approach. Boy. So on that attempt, sure enough, I got connected with someone who was interested, and this Pam really sounded great in our first email exchange, second email exchange. We got on the phone and we talked, and gosh, she liked movies, she liked music. Now, she didn't specify what movies or what kind of music, but hey, I'm new to dating again, so who knew? So here she's described in her profile as 5'8" and brown shoulder length hair, and that she was a professional. Well, we finally, I always thought, and I stayed with this idea for a while, that on a first date we would meet in a very public setting like Starbucks. So I went over, we set up a time to meet in the afternoon, end of my work day, and I go into the Starbucks, and I don't see a woman who's 5'8" with shoulder-length brown hair, who's any kind of professional that I would think of by that descriptor. And all of a sudden I hear from behind me, Dan! Dan! And I turn around and I'm Pam. Well, Pam was a little under tall. And she didn't have shoulder-length brown hair. She in fact had a buzz cut with a real nice red streak. And she was a professional school bus driver. And as we talked, it wasn't going to work. It's amazing that after that very quick cup of coffee, I had to get back to an evening meeting with a client back at the office. So that was kind of how it started. I'm going to jump in time. Because now I want you to envision I am racing on a spring day to a first meeting. I've gotten some things out of the way. I'll tell you, in my past, or between Pam, let's see, there was the psychologist who was a real bright lady, insisted on having her dog with her everywhere she went, almost didn't go see the Rolling Stones that were in town because she couldn't find somebody to dog sit for the few hours of the concert. And all I could think of was her patients who didn't know how sad their shrink was. There was her. There was also a long list of first dates and never second dates. That does happen, but here I am on a spring day. I am going because I've gotten better at how this thing works, way beyond Match.com. Way beyond. No, I didn't use a dating service. I paid way too much money to something that was a ripoff. And the woman who was in the Army Reserve from Howell really meant well. And she was really in a rough place, having been divorced from an alcoholic, grew up in an alcoholic family, and was surprised I said our first meeting should be at Panera Bread and that we weren't meeting in a bar because she really likes to hang out at the bar. That one wasn't going to work. But here I am on a spring day. I know this one's going to work because I've been working with eHarmony. They've had commercials of success. I've had some adventure with eHarmony at that point, but here, after that one relationship of a Match.com where I met this fascinating college professor, and she was really kind of cool. I finally got that intellectual person out there, but she would live 3 hours away down in Indiana working at a school there. That didn't work. I wanted someone closer. So here I am on a spring day because this woman, while she wasn't within my 15-mile radius, was across town. I was looking forward to it. Boy, the thought of Pam and Lily, the woman who thought it was the greatest thing for her to surprise her 14-year-old daughter with a stripper for her birthday. No, that wasn't the one that was going to work. There were those kind of people behind me, way in the dust, thank God. But this day, I really had high hopes. I parked my car. We were meeting down in Eastern Market. We were going to have lunch because lunch is a nice meal to have on a first date in a public setting. And I show up. I had seen this woman's photograph I'd seen 2 of her photographs. We had been connecting a little bit by email and a little bit by phone, and she seemed really interesting. I got there. She was standing in front of Russell Street Deli, and it was amazing. She was more beautiful than her photographs. We lunched together and didn't stop laughing from the moment we said hello to each other. And we've been laughing for 9.5 years. And it is through the trial and error of my computer dating that I'm in the best relationship of my life. And I love you, Beth.
Thank you, Dan. That was lovely. And also, I'm super flattered that you think I was in nursery school in 2000. I must look young. Boy, it makes me want to try internet dating. Well, not now, but consider it later. No, not later. I'm digging myself into a hole. Our next storyteller is a regular host here at Go Comedy. He's an improviser, and he was a member of the launch group A Hot Gold here at Go Comedy. If you're not familiar, they're very funny. Please welcome Dylan Wolf.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, everyone. Very excited to be here. Very proud to be telling this story here on the stage of Joel Comedy Theater. And I'm just going to kind of dig right into it, if you don't mind. So, when I was about 23 years old, I graduated college, and I decided to move to beautiful, sunny Los Angeles, California. Boy, and one of the jobs I had there in Los Angeles was a PA for an independent film. I'm going to give you a little inside Hollywood scoop, you know, a little treat of the biz. And a PA is a production assistant. And if you don't know what that is, it's the worst job you could have on any set of any production there is. I was basically an errand boy, the, part of my language, the bitch. Anyone tells me what to do, I have to do it. One day, we had a barbecue company cater set. This is an independent film. The shoot was like 2 months long. We had like 5 days off total. Days were like 12 hours minimum. I was getting paid $50 a day. You do the math. It's not very fair, but I'm on the bottom. If you want to break into the biz, you got to be a PA. That's what they told me, right? No. All right. So one day during lunch, we have a barbecue place coming in to cater. Some of the PAs, their job was to set up that barbecue. My job was to go and get lunch for the vegan actress on set. And because, barbecue, lots of meats, that's no good. So the UPM, some more inside baseball, unit production manager, her name was Rochelle. She told me, hey Dylan, go to this store, go to this restaurant, get her food, come back. Go over there, grab it. This is what I've been doing this for a month now. I'm the best errand boy in town. Grab it, I'm on my way back. And I'm like, you know what? I should probably check the order. It's a good idea. I just kind of pull it out, and there's a bed of pasta in this little container, and on top of the bed of pasta is a meat patty. And on the meat patty, there's like gravy, and it's dripping into the pasta. It's triggering me. It's like a stroganoff situation, like a Salisbury steak stroganoff situation. I don't know what it is. I turn around, I go back to the restaurant. I give it to the guy. I'm like, hey pal, you messed up my order. This is supposed to be vegan, and there's meat in this. Slide it over to him. And he just looks at me like I'm a crazy person. He's like, no, that's the right order. And pushes it back. He's like, no, there's meat on this pasta, dude. And he's like, yeah, that's plant-based meat. It's supposed to look that way. This is a vegan restaurant. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I grab it and I try to haul ass back to set. And I'm getting calls from the UPM. where are you? Should have been back here 30 minutes ago. You know, it's hot out, I'm sweaty, there's no AC in my car, there's traffic. Finally get back, rush the meal to the actress. She was so sweet, so grateful, bless her soul, great person. And then I kind of got reamed out a little bit by the UPM. And I was like, darn, I was kind of like in some low spirits, if you will. But then I was like, hey, can I have my lunch break now? Because while I was gone picking up her lunch, everybody else was having the barbecue that was being set up. And she's like, oh yeah, you can have your lunch break. But by the way, we ate all the food. But don't worry, I saved you a plate. And she pulls out a styrofoam plate of the saddest meat arrangement I've ever seen. There's like a shriveled up like chicken leg and a bunch of ribs. And the ribs aren't even like in a rib like racks. They're just like, they were in a rack, but like someone like just pulled them apart and just like put some barbecue sauce on there. And I was hungry, I had nothing else to eat. I have to get back to work. She's like, enjoy that, and then get back in because I'm gonna need you to run to CVS to pick some stuff up. So I take the plate and I just try to be appreciative of what I got. You know, I'm outside and I'm like sitting on this curb and I got the plate in my lap and I'm just eating some bad meat. And you know, as I'm eating this meat, I'm thinking to myself. And you know, for me to move out there to Los Angeles was a trial period in my life. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated. I didn't even know if I wanted to really break into this production industry, but the only way I could find out was if I tried it and I was doing it. And you know what? It wasn't really going my way. And I'm just, you know, I was stressed out from earlier and all these negative thoughts just kind of seep into other things. And I'm almost kind of having this existential crisis. And with that, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm by myself and I'm eating by myself, which is kind of a bummer too in a sense. And everybody else already ate. You know, it's like eating these scraps. You know, I feel some pressure building up behind my eyes. I feel a little something in my throat. I'm like, no, Dylan, just don't think about anything. Eat your meal. Be cool. And then after I think that, I had a thought which I've never had before in my entire life. And I think that is a good thing that I've never had this thought before because it means I've had a pretty decent upbringing. But I thought to myself, when's the last time I've hugged somebody? And I was like, and I've been in LA 6 months at this point. I was like, when's the last time I hugged a person since I moved to LA? And I'm just like in the old memory banks. I'm shuffling through the files. All right, Dylan, there's got to be something in there. Nothing. Nope. And dude, I don't know why, but that broke me. In that moment, I just start crying. I'm eating barbecue still. I got barbecue sauce on my face. I don't have a napkin. I'm afraid someone's gonna come out and I'm like drying my eyes like this. And I'm like, but I'm still trying to be cool about it, but there's a lot of water. And then, of course, somebody comes out, and it's probably the worst person to come out. This guy's name is David Kitchener, and he was a key grip. A key grip is someone who sets up the lights, works with the cinematographer to get things looking real nice. And me and Dave, we didn't really have a good rapport. I feel like whenever I was in the room with him, he was always shooting me daggers. He's a grown man, professional, been doing this in the field forever. I'm just a kid, PA, just in his way all the time. And he's a big, tall, intimidating dude. He's got like gauges in his ears, like Septum Pierce, like big beard, like he stands like tall, like close to how tall I am. So he's like, he walks out of the set and he's like carrying some C-stands, and like he sees me and he like just kind of looks at me for a second, and I know he does. I just feel it. I'm not like looking over at him. Like, oh, just leave me alone, man. Just leave me alone. And he walks over and he's standing in front of me. Not that I see it, but I just feel it. And I feel him staring at me, like the back of my head. I'm not looking up at him because I don't want him to see me. And I hear him, he's like, get up. And I'm like, he's like, get up. And then, like, all right. I put my plate down, still covered in barbecue sauce and tears. As I get up, he sets his C-stands down, and he's staring at me. And I kid you not, he stares at me, and I'm like, what do you want? We're just like, it seems like forever. And then he just sticks his arms out. He's like, come here. And I go straight from crying to the ugly girl crying. And it was like a very crazy, powerful moment for me. And then as this happens, a lot of people start coming out of the studio and they all see this. And it's kind of like a talking point. It's like, oh, dude, Dylan's crying. Oh, Dylan's crying. And, you know, the AD, assistant director, tells Kitch and John, another grip, to just like walk around with me. You know, calm me down. You know, I'm a liability at this point, guys. So they do that, and those guys took me under their wing for the rest of the shoot. We had a month left, and they were like some of my best buddies. And I had gigs following that because of Kitch and that guy, John. And I was very appreciative of that. And though my time in LA was a trial period, and to some standards, it very well could have been a failure because, you know, I'm not there anymore, right? But there's moments within those times that are very special and make it all worthwhile, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. So thank you so much.
Oh man, there's a lot to unpack. I hope you're in a better place now and that you're getting hugs on the regular. It makes me not want to go to LA. But our next storyteller is Go Comedy's family staff member. She is into science and forestry, and you can find her in the box office this evening. Please welcome Jasmine Jones.
Alrighty. Hi, my name is Jasmine. She already said that. I gotta get into it. Sorry. So before I moved here, I used to work up north in a place called Mayo, Michigan. I used to work for the Forest Service at the Huron-Manistee National Forest. I was a wildlife technician. This story happens in that position about, how old am I? 3 years ago. So let's get into it. So this also happens the day of and the day after my 23rd birthday. So the day of my 23rd birthday, after work, I was like, yeah, we're all gonna get wasted and we're gonna play minute to win it games. So I invited over all my friends, and I had looked up drink recipes for, you know, those fish bowls where you put like, I don't know, nerds in the bottom and you fill it with vodka and you do the little Swedish fish in there and it's supposed to look clear and beautiful. It didn't, but it tasted decent, right? So I was chugging a few of those. And then I fell asleep on the chair in the living room, and somebody put me to bed, and I woke up the next day, and I thought I was fine. And I think we all think that at 23, like, oh, no, I got this. So I went to work at like 8 o'clock in the morning. It was great. And my boss sees me, and she's like, oh, wow, you came into work today. That's awesome. And I'm like, and it's starting to kick in a little bit, it being hungover. So I'm sitting there, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna be a pretty easy day. I know a way that like I can get through it, still get paid, right? And before I get further into the story, I need to introduce you guys to the Swiss cheese model. So at the Forest Service, I don't know if this is every office, but they have something called the Swiss cheese model. And this says that during your day, when you start, you have like a normal piece of cheese. And then everything that goes wrong during that day puts a hole in your cheese. If you have, say with me, if you have 3 holes in your cheese, you need to go home, right? Because in normal office jobs, it's okay to mess up 3 times, right? But if you're like on the fire line and you've already messed up 3 times, like things can get very serious, right? You could twist something, you could kill yourself, right? So you have to be very careful. So we follow the Swiss cheese model for safety. And as I tell this story, I want to invite you guys to count how many holes are in my cheese. This is going to be an interactive one. So I get there, right, and we're going over what we need to do for the day. And she's like, okay, Jasmine, you're going to go with the interns for the day, and you guys are going to go look for some birds. And I was like, that's going to be great. I'll have the interns to drive the car. I'll just be in the back because I brought extra snacks, and I'm just going to eat. I'm going to let them take control, right? They know how to drive a Forest Service car. It's going to be great. So we're getting ready for the morning, and a guy named can I say his name? It's fine. So, a guy named Ed who works in the timber shop comes in, he talks to my boss, and then she's like, oh, well, Ed has room today, so the interns are gonna go work with timber, and Jasmine, you still go and find the birds. That's all. That's all. Okay, so I'm like, okay, great. So I load up everything into the truck, the Forest Service truck, and I turn it on, and it starts to rain. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great. So I turn on the car, and I pull out, and I get on the main road, and I'm like, I'm still drunk. And we're just like, we're gonna ride this out. This is gonna be great. So I go to the first location, and the way we look for birds is that we have this bird caller, and it plays the bird sound. Some birds, most birds, act very aggressively to it, and so if you play it, there are two types of hawks we're looking for: the northern goshawk and the red-tailed hawk, red-shouldered hawk. So the northern goshawk is aggressive. So if you play the call, they'll come attack you because they think you're near their nest. The red-shouldered hawk, on the other hand, won't come attack you. It will run because it wants you to follow it instead of finding the nest. So I get to the first location, and I hear red-shouldered hawk. Great, because that means I have to run to find this bird. And so I play it, and it's still raining, and I'm chasing this bird, and I think, and it's up a hill too, and there's like leaves, and I'm not doing great. So I think I have eyes on the bird, right? And then who starts calling but some fucking Blue Jays? I don't know if any of you guys were here for my other show, but I fucking hate Blue Jays, and that's gonna make more sense in a minute, okay? So the Blue Jays run off the shoulder hawk. Great. So I get back in my truck, try to pull my life together, still very much under the influence, right? So I'm like, okay, that's one down. Let me go to this other location, still got work to do. So I drive to this other location, it's still raining, I'm very cold and wet, and I get down there, and the road's kind of like, these Forest Service roads are not very reliable, but I'm like, whatever. So I get down the road, and it starts to clear up, and it's getting sunny out, and I'm taking it very slow, right? Stopping at each point to see if the bird is there. And I get to a point in the road where there's a log across the road. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play the caller here, and then if the bird is here, then great, and I'll just go run and find it. And if not, that would be even better, because that means I can leave, because I'm not doing great right now. So I play the caller. I think I hear a bird. Great. It's the goshawk, which means it's gonna attack me, which is even better, right? So I'm like, I play the caller again and I don't hear it, and I'm like, well, I have to get over this log, but I don't know what to do because I can't drive the car over it because it's too big. It's a freaking log, and so I'm like, I've seen people do this before. I'll go grab one of those little hand saws from the back of the truck. So I throw on some chaps. I grab the hand saw, and I'm just sawing at this huge log. And I knew, so a small tidbit of the story is that while I was sawing, very drunkenly, right, just like, this is gonna work, it's a thick log. There's this one fly who is sitting on the log as I'm sawing at it. And I'm like swatted at it, I'm like taking off my raincoat, and I'm like sit there, and the fly's just there. And it's watching me. And I'm like, this is wonderful, thank you. And so I'm sawing, it doesn't work. I'm like, crap, I still gotta get this bird. But then I feel something in my stomach. I'm like, this is great. Now, I'm gonna introduce something to you called the DADS, which is known as the day after drinking shits. And I'm like, oh, great, it's time for that, there's no time. And so I go back to the truck, and I whip open the door. There's no toilet paper in the truck. There's no toilet paper in my backpack. Great. So I hike into the forest. There's no coverage where I am because it's mostly like red pines and all the leaves are up there. So I'm like, well, I hope nobody sees this, right? So I dig a hole and I find a log and I sit on the log over the hole and I let nature happen. And I didn't have any toilet paper, so I took a tree leaf. Took a couple of tree leaves. There's a lot happening. Put it back over the hole, right? Made it back to the truck. And it's nice out. out, and I'm like, you know what, I just have to reevaluate. And so I found a clearing, and I parked the truck, and I eat some lunch. And I'm like, okay, you got this, you're already feeling better, just gotta rehydrate. We still gotta get this bird. Maybe there's a way to go around the back side of the road, right? If I couldn't go this way, maybe there's another entrance. And so I found it on the map, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I go the other way out of the road, and I have no idea how I found the back half of this particular path, but I don't think it was supposed to be there, because as I was driving, there was one way, and there was it was hills on both sides of me, and I was like, wow, I could roll off of this and die right now, but I'm gonna keep going after this bird. So I get all the way around, and I get to this road, and the road, in my mind, I'm like, this is fine. It's not fine. And so I just gun it, and I end up getting the truck to this other area, and there are ruts on both sides. So I'm trying to go around the left rut, and I gun it down, and I got the truck stuck. So this is great. So I try to turn on the radio and call for someone, like, hey, I got the truck stuck. There's no signal. The radio tower that's in this area isn't functional yet. Wonderful. And so then I'm like, I know how to get myself out of this. So I go up to the sides of the road, and I try to find some sticks, and then I shove the sticks underneath the front tires so that when I push on the gas, it'll go over the sticks, and it didn't work. That's the end of that. So eventually somebody came and found me, and there was they said a big Forest Service fire truck, right? And the Forest Service truck was the guy was like, I'm not coming down that road, that looks terrible. So he brings his truck in as far as he can, and then I get out, walk to his truck. He ends up having to get a chainsaw and cut his truck out because the brush was stopping him. We get in the truck, I get back to the place. I got, not in trouble, but I was made an example out of after getting the truck stuck. And most importantly, to note from the story, I don't know how many holes you've counted in the cheese so far, but trust the Swiss cheese. Thank you.
I'm gonna play the Swiss cheese on my regular life. 3 holes and I'm going up. Our next storyteller is a songwriter. He's a frequent storyteller here and performer here at Go Comedy. Please welcome Jeff Mance.
There are people who have very solid career paths, and there are others. I have had over 50 jobs. The longest one was 6.5 years. The shortest one was just over 1 hour. And this one is on the lower end of that. All through high school, all through college, there was one thing I wanted to do, and that was be a shopping mall Santa. I got through my 5 years of college, and that winter I applied to be a shopping mall Santa, and I got the job. And I was far more thrilled than my parents. I showed up, the head elf, she was interviewing me, and I was thrilled because she's like, oh, you're great, you're perfect, you don't even need padding. So that day came. I think it was like a 3-hour shift, and it was just the crappiest mall, and I'm just walking out, and there's just all the families and the kids and everybody's like, Santa, Santa! And I was so into it. I'm like, this is like 8+ years I've been wanting to be a shopping mall Santa. And I was like, ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everybody! How are you? And I sat down, and I was so thrilled, and the kids would sit on my knee and, like, hi, what would you like? And we were instructed never to promise them anything. And they would sit there, and I had a mole at the time, and they would look at me and go, Santa doesn't have a mole. And I'm like, oh, silly child. Well, I hope you're happy. And then about 15 minutes into it, I was like, well, this this Santa suit does not breathe, does it? I am getting really hot and this beard is itching. And sitting like this for longer than 15 minutes, much less 3 hours, is really painful. So slowly I was leaning back and I was like, I'm gonna pass out. This is not good. And I am not exaggerating when I say after about a half hour, I look like this. And I thought, there's no way I can continue to do this. And I called the head elf over. I was just like, hold on, everybody. Elf, please. A moment. And she had informed me during the interview that some people romanticize being Santa Claus and they can't take it. And that's perfectly okay. There were a lot of other Santas in the wings to take over. So I was like, I can't finish. And she gets, all right, can you at least finish the shift? And I was like, okay, I'll finish the shift, but I can't do this tomorrow. She's like, that's fine, just finish the day. And my Santa voice went by the wayside. Kids would come up and I'd be like, hey, come on up. So, how you doing? They're like, Santa doesn't have a mall. And you're like, well, I do. So, what do you want for Christmas? I want a car. Well, we'll see what we can do. Here's your gift bag. Off you go. And that lasted for the remainder of 3 hours. I went home, said my goodbyes to everybody, and thought it was over. Until the next morning, I'm laying in bed, 23, 24 years old. I get a phone call at 8 a.m. from the head elf, who is pissed. And I am getting ripped apart. She's yelling at me, saying, why aren't you here? And I said, I told you yesterday I quit. And she's like, you are responsible for the misery of an entire shopping mall. So, well, I'm 23 and I don't care about much, do you? And I told her, listen, you told me this job was taxing and I didn't have to come back. And she's like, I don't care. It's the Christmas tree lighting day. You know how many kids are going to be crying? And I was like, I'm in my 20s. I don't care about much. And we worked out really nothing. And phone call was over and I, fell back asleep and slept off and on for the next 20 years or so. And in retrospect, when I look back at it, would I do that again? Absolutely not. However, would I do something knowing that it might not live up to my expectations? Absolutely. And just trying stuff out like that, and a lot of times failing miserably, is kind of worth it to me. Because there have been a lot of times where I've been extremely happy with the results. Some of them have saved my life. Some of them have just developed into great friendships. Some of them have just turned into stories like this one.
That makes a lot of sense from my childhood of Santa, mall Santas. They're all miserable. A side note, Jasmine wanted me to let you all know that the bird that she was chasing at the very end of the story was a blue jay, and she also said, fuck blue jays. So that's a nice little wrap up. Our next storyteller is a retired corporate lawyer. He's a moth storyteller, so he's done this before. He is a member of the Ann Arbor Storytellers Guild, and he likes to look for humor in everyday life. Please welcome Rich Swanson.
I was working for a large multinational corporation, and in the mid-'80s, they transferred me to their world headquarters, European headquarters in Brussels, Belgium. So I moved there with my wife and 2 young daughters, and when I got there, I took up a new hobby. riding jumping horses. And this was really just a lot of fun. It was really going good. But after a while, I started to experience some discomfort. And yes, I'm right there. It was getting worse and worse to the extent that I either had to stop riding horses or solve the problem. So I thought, you know, maybe if I just simply wear a jockstrap, a little more support, a little less wiggle room, I might be good to go. So I went home and I mentioned this to my wife, and she says, yeah, that's a great idea. I'll go out and get you one tomorrow. Now, I must tell you, my wife is the most incredible woman, so supportive of the whole family, always willing to do anything to make life easier for the two girls and me. And always just with simply the best attitude, always a smile, and incidentally, her French was the best. All four of us were trying to learn French. She had the best French. So when I came home from work the next day, I said, hey, Lynn, did you get that jockstrap? She said, no, I didn't get it. I had a lot of trouble. You're gonna have to do this yourself. Not like her at all. So I said, well, tell me what happened. She said, I went to 2 different sporting goods stores, and they said they didn't have what I wanted. And they both wrote down an address on a piece of paper, and when I got back to my car, I looked at the 2 pieces of paper, same address. And so I figured, okay, that's it. That's the jockstrap store in Belgium, Brussels. So she drove all the way across town to get to the jockstrap store. When she got there, it wasn't the jockstrap store. It was one of these medical supply houses, you know, where they sell wheelchairs, and crutches, portholes, tape. She said, okay, buy jockstraps too. And she said to me that after she went in there, it just became so humiliating that she had to turn around and leave. And so I said, well, Lynn, how did you communicate to these people that what you wanted was a jockstrap? And she said, well, that was the easy part. I just took my hands and put them in the shape of triangles and pour monsieur, pour monsieur. And she said, for the horses, giddy up, pour monsieur, giddy up, giddy up. And I'm thinking, you know, that's pretty good body language. However, it's open to more than one interpretation. So I said, she said she went in there, the first thing they showed her were like some adult diapers. She said, no, 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 no. And then they took her and they showed her a display of vibrators. She said, no, geez, no, that's not it. And she said, when they showed her the condom, she said, that's it, I'm out of here. And she left. And so I said, okay, well, I'll see what I can do. So I went into work the next day and I saw my friend George. He's a Belgian guy, speaks perfect English. And I said, George, I need to buy a jockstrap. He said, oh, no problem. He said, all the sporting goods stores carry them. All you have to do is go in and ask for un suspensoire. He said it's that simple. So I am walking back to my office, fist pumping. I've got the magic word, un suspensoire. It's just great. It's Friday afternoon. I'm dying to get home to tell Lynn the magic word. And it's Friday. I leave work early even, and I'm driving home, and the whole way home I'm thinking, oh, suspensoire, leave it to the French to come up with such a royal, regal, noble word for this lowly pouch that we call a jockstrap. So I walk in the door, and Lynn says, oh, geez, you're home early. Too bad, you just missed the girls. They both have sleepovers tonight. at that minute, I decided, well, I won't tell her the magic word. Instead, I said, well, let's go out for dinner. So we did. And I intentionally parked about 2 blocks away from our favorite restaurant, knowing full well that we're going to have to walk by a sporting goods store. And she sensed me slowing down for that sporting goods store. She said, forget it. They don't have it. I was there yesterday. I said, oh, come on, let's go in. I want to ask him a question. So we go in, and this nice young clerk comes up and asks if she could help me. I said, avez-vous suspensoire, s'il vous plaît? She said, mais oui. And there they were, boxes and boxes of jock straps lined up on the floor, peeking out from these soccer jerseys on hangers. And so she's down on her hands and knees sorting through them, and her colleague comes over, and both these girls are sorting through these jock straps. I gotta tell you 2 things. One, just in case you didn't know, jock straps come in sizes. Number 2, it's common knowledge over there that American guys are bigger than, like taller than Belgian guys, okay? And so, these girls are down there, and they're sorting through these jock straps, and they're looking up at me, and they're saying things like, grand, man, no, très grand, large, very large. And then finally, the one girl says, Maximo, poorly American, Maximo, it's a bigger size. You see what's going on here? They're sizing me up. I'm telling you, it's a form of flattery. It's blind flattery, I know. I'll take it, it's okay, I'll take it. So she hands me the jock strap, I pay for it, we go out for dinner, and when we get home, I'm just dying to see my new jock strap. Take it out of the bag, I take it out of the box, and I'm looking at my new jock strap, and I must tell you, this is a jock strap for an elephant. And I turn to Lynn and I say, it's too big. It won't work. It must be exchanged. And it would just be too embarrassing for me. And she turns to me and just gives me the biggest smile. And she says, no way, big boy, no way, you're on your own. You gotta go back there and tell those girls that they have overestimated you. And by a large margin. So I said, you know what, those girls are probably working late Friday night in order to get the rest of the weekend off. I'm going in there first thing Saturday morning. There'll be a new crew there, they won't know anything about this. I took their job strap, put it back in the box, put it in the bag, put my receipt in there at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. I go walking into that sporting goods store, same girl. She asked if she could help me. And I said yes, and I pulled that box out. I bought this jock strap here last night. Mais oui, she remembered. And I said, and what I would like to do now is I would like to, buy another one for my son, and I'll pick it out myself. And I got down there and I sorted through those jock straps and I opened them up and I took them out and I found one that I knew would fit me. And I bought it and I left that store that day with both of those jock straps in the bag, and as I was walking to my car, I just reached into the bag and I took the jock strap for the elephant and I pitched it into the trash can. And thereafter, I rode my horse with no discomfort in my new suspensoire.
Holy smokes. French is allons-y, which I think means let's go. And in this sense, it might not be appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our final storyteller of the night, but it's a good one. I mean, he's a good one. He frequently tells stories here, he performs, he's a dog enthusiast. Please welcome Kyle Butala.
I'm going to use this. I never have to do one of these using this and cool it. Okay, I'm just going to grab it now. So I can't operate things, but hi, my story will have no jock straps, unfortunately. But it will be kind of a bummer, but I'm going to laugh at it because it's fun to laugh at myself. It's a story of not really a trial and error where you're throwing things at the wall and let's see what sticks. It's more of a trial and we all get put through trials, you know, things that strengthen us, make us see things and everything, make us maybe realize we shouldn't have been doing what we were doing. And it's the story of what I consider one of the worst days of my life. And it's not like the worst day where it's like all your loved ones died in the same car crash worst day, but it was just like very emotionally, mentally, and physically draining. So to set this up, started dating. It was like the first girlfriend I had in a long time. We met on Tinder. So, you know, this is your warning to follow up the beginning story. But we were dating for a few months, and this is like the longest relationship I've ever had. We like went on vacations when we first started dating. She lived like right by like my hometown in Clinton Town, like where I grew up in Clinton Township. I lived in Sterling Heights. It was perfect. She was really close. She was living with some friends, and they were really cool. And when we first met, like everyone like on dating apps, we both just like got out of like something. So she had an ex, and this is a little bit of a backstory. And this dude was a real Kyle, because his name was Kyle. So that was really weird. They had the thing where like he broke up with her, and historically with me, if someone breaks up with you, it's like okay, bye, because historically things with me are always awful. So I apply it to everybody. And so I think like okay, so they broke up. He broke up with her to date somebody. So like oh, so he must be some real dick, and they don't talk to each other. But apparently they still hung out a lot, and they were really good friends. And I was like oh, okay, I'm gonna be supportive and not see anything weird about that. Especially because he just wanted to talk to her a lot after his recent girlfriend moved to Poland. And then he's just like, hi Danielle, that's my ex's name. Let's hang out a lot. So it's whatever, I'm gonna be cool with it. It bugs me, I don't wanna meet him, and she wants me to meet him. Anyways, that's that Kyle. So I work the job I work, I gotta get up early, and so sometimes the traffic to get to where we go. She recently, at this point, moved to a house in Detroit because she worked at Wayne State in Detroit. And so it was a little bit of a drive to get there because the way traffic was, because, you know, freeways. And we would only be available like right on rush hour, so every time we'd have to get there, if I ever got there, I'd only have like 2 hours, and I'd have to sleep because I gotta get up to get to work really early. So some days I would just not feel like going. And she didn't like that. So there's just one day where it was the end of the day, I just didn't feel like it at all, so I just texted her to say, I'm not gonna go over today, I still have schoolwork to do because I was in college at the time, and so I'm just not gonna come over, and it was fine, okay? It was a summer day, it was raining, so I was just gonna stay inside, it was a really muggy day. She had 2 pet rats. They are adorable, but I mean, they are rats. So, they were nice and sweet, and I kind of came around to the idea of holding a rat. But she as soon as I got home, she calls me. She's in a panic because one of her rats just stopped moving, and she rushed it to the animal clinic. It's sad because she really loves these pets, and I get it. They're pets and they're rats. So oh no, that's not good. So I rushed there. It's really sad because it's still someone's pet, and she's all torn up. I go into the room with her, they have it in the back, and she's all sad. I'm comforting her. It's hard for her because she's a college student, so she has zero money, and this is gonna be a big thing. And so then the doctor just busts in, or the veterinarian just busts in. They're also animal doctors. And it's the weirdest thing because busts in and he says, okay, it's not breathing, would you like us to start CPR? And it's like a big panic thing, and she's like, yes. And it's like, oh, this is sad, it's a rat. Like, I didn't know you could do that for a rat, and I didn't know there was like, do not necessitate rules for rats. So she's all torn up, and like, it's really bumming me out, because I'm sad too, because I've lost a pet, it's a really sad thing. They're doing a rat CPR in the back, I guess, we're in this room. They come back in, and unfortunately, the heart stopped and it died, and it's sad, and they say, would you like to see the rat? And like, she wants to because it's her rat, and I want to be there to support her. And so they bring it in, and like, it's just wrapped in a towel, and it's a real bummer, guys, and I'm sorry, but it's just the saddest thing. I break down crying, she breaks down crying, and so they say, do you want to take it home, or do you want to take care of it? And of course she wants to take it home. So they hand it to us wrapped in this towel, this dead rat, and so I'm being supportive. And all the pets she's had while she lived with her friends that was close to where I grew up, they buried in the backyard, and she wanted this rat to be buried there too. And being the supportive boyfriend I was trying to be, I was like, okay, forgot, I covered the cost for the whole thing, because she had no money for this rat thing, and they create like a nice thing to send home with it in memory of your rat. So we drive there, and the rain stopped, and the sun came out, and it is the hottest day of the year, and it is so muggy, and I am now digging a hole in the backyard of her friend's house to bury this rat, and I'm doing it for her, and so she's just standing there in the back corner of this backyard in Roseville, and I am about a foot deep in like clay dirt with this bundle of it's just a towel. It's a towel with a dead rat in it. And she's really sad. It's like, I get it, I'm supporting her. Like, now I'm adding to this pet cemetery in this backyard in Roseville. And so I'm just sweaty, I'm covered in funerary rat dirt. We bury it, and it's like, oh, yeah, that was like, I'm there for her. And so we were gonna just go back to her place that she got in her new place. And we were just gonna, spend the rest of the day and just keep it low key. And then she, says to me, could you take me to the parking lot of the Macomb Mall so I can get some weed for my ex Kyle? Okay, so I'm doing that now. The ex who she hangs out with all the time, and I was like, okay, I never want to meet him, it's fine, I get it. I just don't personally want to meet him, it's weird for me. But okay, I will do this. And so then we drive the very short distance to the Macomb Mall for, the post-rat burial drug deal. And, so at this point, like, I am just drained from having crying because I'm sad that my girlfriend is so sad at the loss of a pet. I am exhausted from digging in this humid weather. I am just covered in sweat. And so we're just sitting there, we pull up, and his car's there, classic Macomb Mall parking lot drug deal. It was made for it. There's so many parking lots around the whole thing, and they're never full. And I've just gone full on, like, I'm just upset. I'm just sitting there grumpy, just like a child who's just like, no, I didn't want this. I don't want this. I don't want you to get drugs from. And they do it, and she was just like, oh, do you want to meet him? And she was like, no. I'm like, no. And so he walks over to the side of the car I'm in, and he's like, hey man, what's up? I'm like, hey, what's up? Yeah, nice to meet you. Cool. They hug for like 10 seconds, super cool. And then we finally drive back, and we just have a nice day. No, we got into like a nice argument, and like I am just upset, and I'm like crying because that's how I deal with things. And she just doesn't see what the problem is. And the other caveat to that is like, she still owed him like $300 for all the weed, and she just wasn't paying him. And like, obviously it clicked in my mind 2 months after the fact that like, no one just owes someone $300 for drugs without some other form of payment. But it was just a very long, drawn-out day where I ended up burying a body and then having to meet someone I just really didn't want to meet who shared my same name. Of course, I should have realized in the error of my ways was, I don't think she has my best interests in mind here, even though I'm trying to be very supportive. So yeah, that was my very long trial that led up to a very horrible error. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
So Kyle is available if you have any pets that die. You can bury them.
Right backyard.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of Let's Just Say for this month. Please give a warm, round of applause for all of our storytellers tonight. As I said at the start, we do the show every month, with the exception of December, because we have holiday shows here. Please come see them; they're very good. If you are interested in telling a story, and Let's Just Say, please reach out to us, talk to me after, or check our Facebook page. Other than that, have a wonderful night and have a wonderful holiday season. Bye.